Go to this. The Navy says Iran has used lasers against an American helicopter on Wednesday in a, quote, unsafe and unprofessional manner, end quote there. Now, according to the Navy, the chopper was conducting routine operations in international airspace around the Arabian Gulf when Iranian Navy ships hit it with a laser several different times. The Navy also says no injuries were reported and the aircraft wasn't damaged. For more on this one, let's bring in Jamil Jaffer, founder and executive director for the National Security Institute at George Mason University's Antonin Scalia Law School. Jamil, it's good to see you once again on the show, and happy Friday to you, sir. Just your top-line thoughts on the matter and what the appropriate response from the United States should look like.
Well, happy Friday, Marky. You know, one of the challenges here is that the Iranians have long been harassing both American vessels as well as international shipping in the Arabian Gulf. This goes back many years, but just in recent years. In December, we saw them go after a merchant ship, these small gunboats. And earlier last year, we saw them also come after U.S. Navy ships, flashing blinding lights into the cabin of our ships. Now, these lasers are very dangerous. These lasers they used against our helicopter, they can blind pilots and the like. We're lucky that in this case that didn't happen. But this is a constant theme of harassment by Iranian, teams, both on their vessels as well as in other vehicles in the Arabian Gulf, trying to say this is our zone, not yours, even though these are acknowledged international waters in the Arabian Gulf.
And to your point, this is not the first time we've seen Iran attack U.S., military personnel or, equipment. They tried to temporarily blind American ships in the Strait of Hormuz just last year. Clearly, the message not to harass us isn't being heard, and it's not landing for them. So what needs to change in our messaging to Iran?
Well, I think, Marky, this is part of the problem. We just had a situation where 5 Americans were released from unlawful Iranian custody. We paid over $6 billion to get those Americans out. Now, it's obviously critical that we get Americans back, but when we make clear that we're willing to negotiate, we're not going to push back hard, we're not going to get aggressive against these ships that are coming after us, these lasers that are being shot at our pilots, it demonstrates to the Iranians that they can push the envelope, they can test our boundaries. And the problem with that situation, Marky, is if they continue to do it, you worry there might be a situation where they get a little too aggressive and then we end up in a shooting match. That's not good for anybody. Well, it's consistent with their behavior over many years. They have come to realize that we won't push back, that we will give them what they ask for. We'll give them a nuclear deal that doesn't really restrict their program in significant ways. We'll give them billions of dollars to get our American hostages. And let's be clear, these were unlawfully detained Americans. They were hostages back. Not only will we give them $6 billion, we'll give them 5 of their people back as well, as you just pointed out. This is the entire problem of our relation with Iran. They understand they can push us around and we won't push back aggressively. That's the challenge with the current policy and the policy we've had historically for a number of years.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند